everyone, welcome to my channel, The Biology Station. As we all know that in my previous videos, I've already discussed and explained about the first 5 modes of asexual reproduction. I've already covered up fission, budding, spore formation, fragmentation and regeneration. So now we are left with only one and the last mode of asexual reproduction, that is vegetative propagation. So in today's video, I'm going to explain vegetative propagation in detail. In case you have missed my previous videos, you can watch them by using the link I've mentioned in the description below. So let's get started. Let's see what is vegetative propagation. See student, this is an asexual mode of reproduction seen in the case of plants. So it is an asexual mode of reproduction performed by plants. Alright. Students, you must be aware of this fact that whenever we have to grow a new plant, the very important structure which we look for is seed, right? What we do when we have to grow a new plant, we just take a seed, we bury that into the soil, provide it with all the nutrients, manure, fertilizers, water, whatever is required. And what happens? In a few weeks, a new plant grows up. A plant comes out of a soil, right? But this mode of growing a new plant is considered as sexual mode of reproduction. Why is it so? Because the structure which we have used to grow a new plant is seed, and seed is a product of fertilization, right? And fertilization comes under sexual reproduction. Moreover, seed is formed inside the flower and flower is a reproductive unit. So when we grow a new plant by using seed, we are actually carrying out the sexual reproduction. But when we talk about vegetative propagation, which is asexual mode of reproduction, we will not be including seed and flower, right? We will not talk about the reproductive unit of a plant. Fine. So let's define these two terms. Vegetative means any non-reproductive structure present in a plant. It's a non-reproductive or somatic part or structure of a plant. Propagation means to multiply or to spread or to increase the number of something, right? So propagation means to multiply or to spread. Fine. So let's define vegetative propagation now. Students, you must have come across a situation in your life where you must have seen that people make use of a small part of rose stem. They bury that part of the stem into the soil, and in a couple of weeks a new rose plant grows up. This type of process in which a person is using a stem to grow a new plant is an example of vegetative propagation, right? He has not used seed in this case. What he has used is a small stem part. Clear? So student, what is the definition of vegetative propagation? See, it is the process of formation of new plants by using the vegetative structures of another plant or parent plant like root, stem, leaves, branches, etc., excluding seed or flower. Right? So it is the process of formation of new plant from another plant by using its vegetative structures. Vegetative structures means root, stem, leaves, branches, etc. Right? So vegetative part of the plant includes root, stem, leaves and branches. Excluding, we are not going to use flower or seed. Why? Because these are reproductive units. We are going to use non-reproductive unit, that is root, stem, leaves and branches, right? Secondly, these vegetative structures, that is root, stem, leaves, branches, all of them are known as vegetative propagule. Each vegetative structure, that is stem, leaves, root, branches, is known by a term that is vegetative propagule. Right? Means the stem is one type of vegetative propagule, leaf is another type, root is another type and branches, they are another type of vegetative propagule. All of them are vegetative propagules. Now, under what situation a vegetative propagule is capable of producing or giving rise to a new plant? See, each vegetative propagule must bear one or more nodes or buds in order to give rise to a new plant. Right? Suppose if we are using the stem to grow a new plant and there is no bud or node in that particular stem. You bury that stem into the soil, nothing's going to happen. No new plant is going to develop out of it. Why is it so? Because there is no node or bud. So every vegetative propagule must bear node or bud to produce new plant. So each vegetative propagule should bear one or more nodes or buds so as to produce new plant. So this condition is mandatory to have one or more node or bud. It is must in every vegetative propagule, right? So these are some of the features of vegetative propagation. It is a process of formation of a new plant from the parent plant by using their vegetative structure. Each vegetative structure, that is root, stem, leaves, branches, is known as vegetative propagule, and each of the vegetative propagule should bear one or more nodes or buds so as to give rise to a new plant, right? This is about vegetative propagation. Now, vegetative propagation is basically of two types, natural and artificial. In your NCERT, only natural vegetative propagation is mentioned, but I will be giving you some idea about the artificial vegetative propagation as well. So student, as I have already told you, there are two types of vegetative propagation, natural and artificial. Under natural vegetative propagation, the vegetative part of a plant detaches from the parent plant on its own or may fall onto the ground and gets buried into the soil or may get deposited by the soil, and in whatever case, what happens is, under suitable condition, that vegetative part of a plant develops into a seedling and a new plant, right? There is no human intervention is involved under natural vegetative propagation, but artificial vegetative propagation is mainly carried out by human beings only. In artificial vegetative propagation, horticulturists, they develop new and different types of methods to obtain desired qualities of plant by using vegetative propagation, right? So in NCERT only natural is mentioned, artificial is not there in your syllabus. Under natural, again, there are different categories on the basis of the type of vegetative propagule which is used to grow a new plant. So natural is divided into 4 categories on the basis of vegetative propagule. So vegetative propagule can be stem, or it can be leaf, it can be root or bulbil, right? So under stem we have further 3 different categories depending upon the location of stem or location of this vegetative propagule, whether it is inside the soil or it's above the ground or partially inside or partially outside, in that way. So stem is further categorized into 3 categories. We have underground stem, okay, we have aerial stem, and lastly we have subaerial stem, right? So in underground stem we will be discussing the 4 examples which are there in your NCERT. We'll talk about tuber, rhizome, bulb and corm. Okay, in underground stem we have tuber, rhizome, bulb and corm. These are the vegetative propagules of underground stem. In aerial stem we will be taking the example of sugarcane, under subaerial stem again we have 4 examples. We will talk about runner, offset, stolon and sucker, right? Under subaerial we have runner, offset, stolon and sucker. So stem is one type of vegetative propagule. On the basis of location of this particular vegetative propagule, whether it is inside the soil, it's below the soil surface, or it's above the soil surface, or half below and half above, on that basis we have all these examples of different types of vegetative propagule, right? Then leaf, root and bulbil are the other types of vegetative propagules, comes under natural vegetative propagation only, right? Under artificial we have 3 types. That is cutting, layering and grafting. So artificial is of 3 types: cutting, layering and grafting. Clear? So in today's video I will be taking a stem vegetative propagule and I will be explaining only the underground stems example, these 4 examples. Alright? And I will be taking up aerial stem, subaerial stem, all these examples, leaf, root, bulbil and artificial vegetative propagation in my upcoming videos. Right? So let's start with the underground stem. The first example, that is tuber. So students, let's start with the natural vegetative propagation. The first vegetative propagule is stem and its first category is underground stem. As you can see that the name itself says, whatever vegetative propagules we are going to talk about under this category, they are located inside the soil, they are present below the soil surface, that's their location, right? So the first example is tuber. Okay, under tuber we can take the example of potato. I believe that students, you all must be familiar with the potato and its structure, because it's a very commonly eaten and most edible vegetable which we eat almost every day, right? Let me just show you the structure of potato, right? This is the tuber of potato, which is edible part which we eat. I believe you are able to see the structure clearly, right? It's a swollen structure, as you can see, right? And if you clearly observe its surface, all over its surface, it has some eye-like structures. Can you see these? They have some eye-like structures like this, and there are dots over here like this, and dot here as well, right? This one as well. So what are these eye-like structures actually? These eye-like structures are nothing but these are nodes. And these nodes are the one which are carrying or enclosing axillary bud inside. Okay, these nodes carries axillary bud, and axillary bud has a property that whenever it comes in the contact with the soil, it immediately gives rise to a new plant. Clear? So these potato tubers, they actually grow inside the soil, and they are developed from the lateral branches which comes out of the main underground stem. Okay, let me just show you. So this potato plant, the main stem of the potato plant, a part of it is available above the ground, that is aerial. This is an aerial shoot, and a part of a main stem is present below the soil surface. It's present inside the ground as well, and then there are roots at the end. Now what happens is, from this part of a main stem, there grows lateral branches. The lateral branches, they start coming out of the main underground stem, and each of the lateral branch ends up into a swollen structure. This swollen structure is nothing but the potato tuber. This structure is a potato tuber. Right. Suppose this is the underground stem. This is lateral branch. Then these are all tubers. Okay, potato tubers. Each potato tuber has a swollen structure, and all over its surface, as I've already showed you, there are present some eye-like structures. All over its surface, it has dotted structures, some scars. These eye-like structures, they are nothing but, these are known as nodes. These are nodes or eyes. Nodes are the one which carries bud, axillary bud, right? And this bud has a tendency that when it comes in contact with the soil, it gives rise to adventitious roots and aerial shoot, and finally a new plant, right? So bud is responsible for the growth of new plant. It gives rise to new plant, right? So these nodes are the one which stores bud. So this bud, when germinate, gives rise to roots, and finally a new plant. Okay, so they have this axillary bud which after germination gives rise to a new plant once it comes in contact with the soil, right? You must have seen sometimes on the surface of a potato tuber, there are some whitish or green color leafy structures that start coming out. Those structures are nothing but the germinating buds only, the axillary bud, right? So what are the features of tuber? The first one, as it's already clear from the diagram, that tubers, they are swollen structure which develop from the terminal part of lateral branches coming out of underground stem. Right? So tubers, what are they? They are swollen structures. As you can see, they are swollen structures which develop from the terminal part of the lateral branches, which are coming out of underground stem, main underground stem, right? Then secondly, tuber bears large number of eyes or nodes which carries or which encloses what? They enclose axillary bud. So all the tubers which are vegetative propagule, they comprises of large number of eyes or nodes all over the surface, and each of the eye encloses a small bud, which is an axillary bud, which is going to produce a new plant when buried in the soil, right? Thirdly, axillary bud gives rise to adventitious roots and aerial shoot when comes in contact with soil. Right? Suppose if we take a tuber or a part of a tuber carrying the node and we bury that into the soil, within a few couple of weeks a new plant develops, right? Why? Because this node is capable of giving rise to the root as well as shoot, right, when it comes in contact with soil. So if we place a potato tuber but with nodes, without nodes, what will happen? No new plant is going to be formed. Inside the soil, right, what will happen? A new plant grows up. Why? Because there is an axillary bud inside the potato tuber which is capable of giving rise to the new plant, right? So these are the features of potato tuber, the first example of underground stem. Clear? So students, let's discuss about the second vegetative propagule, that is rhizome of underground stem. Rhizome is basically seen in the case of ginger and turmeric. Students, I believe you all have seen ginger. Let me show you the structure. See, this is a ginger, okay? This is a rhizome of a ginger. If you can see on its surface, there are some lines, there are some distinct lines all over surface. Can you see these? This line, this line, this. These are the nodes. These lines are nothing, these circular lines are nothing but the nodes, okay? And the distance between two nodes, this is one node, this is second node, this is between the two node is known as internode. These nodes, they enclose axillary bud which has a tendency to give rise to a new plant. If you can see these papery structures, these paper-like structures, these are nothing but the scaly leaves. At some places, nodes, they bear scaly leaves. This is a scaly leaf. Okay. So this is a rhizome. As you can see, it is a swollen. Why it is swollen? Because it is storing food which is used by the plant during unfavorable condition. Right? So this structure also helps in pollination. So let's draw the diagram of ginger, that is rhizome. See students, as I've already told you, the rhizome is a part of underground stem, right? If this is soil and this is a ginger plant, the stem of a ginger plant, then somewhere here the part of main stem grows below the soil surface and will transform into a structure which is a rhizome, and this rhizome grow parallel to the surface of soil. Okay, this rhizome, it always grows parallel to the surface of soil. If this is a soil, it will grow like this. Okay, so if this is a rhizome, suppose, all over the surface, ginger rhizome, it has circular lines. These are nodes. So these are all nodes which encloses bud. And the space between two nodes is known as internode. So if this is a node, these two, if they are node, then the space will be known as internode. Right? As I told you that there are some flaky, papery structures present at some places. These structures are nothing but the scaly leaves. Right. So this one is a scaly leaf. Clear? So what rhizome looks like actually, the main underground stem gives rise to a swollen structure which is a rhizome that grows parallel to the soil surface. Each rhizome comprises of large number of circular distinct nodes all over its surface along with the internode. The space between the two nodes is known as internode. Then at some places we can see large number of flaky structures, the papery structures, which is a scaly leaf, right? Even this part is also, this part comprises of bud. These are also known as buds. Okay, they are also storing the axillary bud. Moreover, other than this, at the ventral surface of the rhizome, there are present large number of adventitious roots. They are actually coming out of the nodes only, which are enclosing the bud. Right. So, this is adventitious root which arises from the ventral side of the rhizome of a ginger, right? So this is a diagram of rhizome of ginger. So whenever we have to grow a ginger plant, what we want is, we are going to use a part of rhizome or maybe a complete rhizome must be having one or more nodes or the buds. We place that into the soil and provided with the all important nutrient. What will happen? Within a few couple of weeks, a new ginger plant grows up. Right. Same happen in the case of turmeric as well. In the turmeric, the structure which is used to grow a turmeric plant, that vegetative structure is also known as rhizome. Clear? Let's see what are the features of rhizome. The first feature will be that the rhizome grows parallel to the soil surface. Rhizome grows parallel to the soil surface. What kind of structure it has? It's a swollen structure. Why? Because it stores large amount of food. So, rhizome stores food which is used by plant during adverse conditions. Okay, so that's why it is swollen in structure. Rhizome is swollen in structure. Thirdly, we can see the distinct nodes and internodes, few scaly leaves on the surface of a rhizome. So it bears distinct nodes, internodes and few scaly leaves. Right? Other than that, as I've already told you, there are some root-like structures coming out of the ventral surface of the rhizome. These are adventitious roots. So they bear adventitious roots at ventral surface. The adventitious roots, they are growing ventrally. Okay. Now the fifth and the last point is that when we place a rhizome with bud, okay, with buds in the soil, what happens? The bud gives rise to new plant, right? So this is about the rhizome, which is seen in the case of ginger as well as turmeric. Fine. Moving on to the third example of underground stem. Third type of vegetative propagule in underground stem is bulb. Bulb is seen in the case of onion and garlic. As you all know that onion is having a very swollen structure, the bulb of the onion, it is very swollen in structure. Let me just show you. This is the structure of onion, okay. If you can see, it is actually condensed swollen bulb of onion, okay. Below somewhere here, if you can see this part, this is actually the reduced stem. This is a reduced underground stem of onion bulb. It is somewhat disc shaped, right? Then above the stem is present a covering. This entire covering is made up of fleshy or scaly leaves. This portion is the portion which we eat. This is the edible part of the onion bulb, okay? If I'll remove this outer covering, if you can see this, there is an outer papery covering surrounding the onion bulb. This papery covering is known as tunica. If I remove tunica, what I'll see? I'll be able to see these fleshy structures, layer of fleshy structure, a wall of fleshy structure. These fleshy structures which we eat are scaly leaves or fleshy leaves, right? At the center, suppose if this is the onion bulb, at the center of the onion bulb, close to the stem, is located the bud, and this bud is responsible for producing a new onion plant, okay. From this part of the stem, the adventitious roots comes out, okay, towards the soil, and from here the green leafy shooty structure will come out, the new plant will come out. Right? Let's discuss about the structure of onion bulb. See students, this is a soil and this is a shooty structure, that is the main stem of onion plant. This onion bulb is a swollen and highly condensed, vertically placed underground stem. Right? So it is going to grow like this. Right? So it is vertically placed. Bulb is a vertically placed, vertical to the soil surface. Right? If we draw a structure of bulb of onion, we'll see there will be a reduced disc-like structure, right? Above the structure is present whorls of layers of fleshy structure. These fleshy structures are nothing but the scaly leaves. And at the center, somewhere here, they encloses bud. Alright? Outside the scaly leaf, there is a covering, a papery covering, which is known as tunica. Okay? So from the stem area only, arises large number of adventitious roots. So these are adventitious roots, right? This is a bud. Okay, these are the whorls of scaly leaf or fleshy leaves. They are fleshy in nature, right? Externally, there is a covering which is known as, this dry covering is tunica. Okay, so when we bury this bulb of an onion into the soil, this bud immediately gives rise to the adventitious roots below into the soil once it germinates, and above it gives rise to the aerial shoot. As a result, a new onion plant grows up, right? So this is about the structure of onion bulb. Let's discuss the features of bulb of onion. First of all, the bulb is a swollen and condensed, vertically placed underground stem. Okay, it grows vertical to the soil surface. Secondly, the stem is comparatively reduced. It is reduced and disc shaped. It is reduced and disc shaped. Above the stem, what is present? The whorl of fleshy leaf. Above the stem, present layer of fleshy or scaly leaves. Okay, covered by dry covering called tunica. So above the stem there is present layer of fleshy or scaly leaves. This is the edible portion, which is further covered by a dry papery covering, that is tunica. At the center of bulb, a bud is present. Which gives rise to adventitious roots below and aerial shoot above when placed in the soil. Clear? So this is about the third example, that is bulb. So students, the fourth type of vegetative propagule is corm, and corm is normally seen in the case of plants like Amorphophilus, which is known as Jamaican in Hindi, or Colocasia, which is known as Arabi in Hindi. So the examples of corm are Amorphophilus and Colocasia. So corm is basically an swollen underground stem which grow perpendicular to the soil surface. All over the surface of the corm there are present distinct nodes and internodes. They enclose axillary bud which gives rise to a new plant when buried into the soil, right? So let's see how a corm looks like. It is a swollen structure. Okay, with distinct nodes and internodes. They have ring-like nodes and internodes, circular structure like this. Alright. So these are nodes, and in between the nodes the space is known as internode, right? Other than this, they have rounded structures at the base. These are daughter corms. And the nodes in these areas give rise to adventitious roots. So there are ventrally placed adventitious roots as well. They are comparatively a little hairy. They have a bristle-like structures. Sometimes a scaly leaf is also present. They have scaly leaves too. Okay, so if this is a corm, it has large number of nodes, then internode, right? This is scaly leaf. These are daughter corms. And they bear adventitious roots. In this also nodes encloses axillary bud which can give rise to a new plant. So what are the features of corm? First of all, corm is a swollen structure, or it's a swollen underground stem grows perpendicular to the soil surface, right? Perpendicular to the soil surface means if this is a soil and this is a plant, then from the underground stem this corm grows or develops like this. It is placed perpendicular to the soil surface, right? Then next, there are present distinct nodes and internodes. Okay. There are present scaly leaf. They also have adventitious roots. And each of the node, what it comprises of, each node has bud. Which bud? Axillary bud. which can give rise to new plant. When placed in the soil. Okay, so each node has a bud which gives rise to the new plant once it is placed in the soil. So this is about the structure of a corm. So student, that's all in today's video. I'll be talking about the other vegetative propagules in my upcoming videos. So before winding up, a quick reminder, do like, share and subscribe my channel, the Biology Station. And your feedbacks are highly appreciated. Do send your comments and feedbacks. Don't forget to press the bell icon. And thank you for watching. Take care of yourself.